later. Welcome you back to the Patrick Netherton Show right here in 1130 The Tiger. He's Rogers Hampton. I'm Patrick Netherton. And our Foodie Friday series continues. We've kind of been all over the place in terms of where we've gone. And I'm like, you know what? We need to bring it back to Shreveport, Bossier. And I got to think about it. Well, wait a second. What about the guy who not only sponsors our show, but also is the guy who's generous enough to give us gift certificates every week to have our 2Johns Upset Special? Thought, well, surely that's the guy we need to bring in. So, the owner of 2Johns Steak and Seafood, 2151 Airline Drive in Bossier City, he is John Montelepre, and he joins us now. John, what's up, brother?
Hey, Patrick. Just got through having a real big lunch and just kind of chilling out before we get ready for nighttime.
Gotta love that. Gotta love that. It's so fantastic. Let's kind of back up. We'll kind of begin from the beginning, as it were. Kind of walk me through, how you decided you wanted to open up your own place, why 2Johns with your son, all that. Kind of walk us through how this all began.
Well, as you know, I was in the barbecue business for 30 years, Patrick. I had Leon's. We had two locations, one on Monkhouse Drive and one on East Kings Highway, and did real well in the barbecue business. And, it got to a point where my dad ran the Monkhouse store and I ran the Kings Highway store, and Dad decided to retire, and, I ran both of them for a little while, and then just a little overwhelming. So we sold the property on Monkhouse, and I just had the East Kings Highway store, and then we saw the city kind of slowly moving south. And I thought to myself, well, golly, if we're going to be viable, I need to get a location south of town. And we went and looked at trying to buy an acre of land and relocate our Leon's barbecue restaurant. And the problem I had is by the time I bought an acre of land and then built the restaurant, I was going to spend almost $2 million, and I had a $5 sandwich.
Right.
I couldn't make the numbers work.
Yeah.
And so I just decided to finally just close Leon's down, and thought I was done with the food business. I started playing poker in '94 and played poker for a lot of years. Did real well. Traveled pretty much all over the country, and then I had an opportunity. My son actually went to Tech, and he was his major was entrepreneurship and management. And of course, I never thought he'd come out of college wanting to be in the food business, but he had a couple of restaurant jobs while I was at Tech. And of course, he worked for me before he went to college.
Sure.
A little bit off and on at Leon's, and so the summer before he graduated, he worked at a fine dining in Shreveport and as a pastry chef. And so he kind of learned that summer. He kind of learned the chef business and the pastry chef business, and really kind of liked it. And then he went back to school and finished his senior year, and then he got a phone call shortly after he graduated and got a job offer to be a pastry chef at this same fine dining restaurant. And so he did that for, a couple of years and really enjoyed it. And then this restaurant decided to do nighttime and daytime service. They were pretty much just a nighttime place, and John just was working a lot of hours, and he was fixing to work more hours, just have one day off instead of two.
Right.
He was thinking about moving, and I always wanted to do this venue. I always wanted to do fine dining, and I really couldn't work with my dad. Dad and I loved each other, but we just couldn't work together, and John and I are real close. And so I just mentioned to him one day, I said, hey, what do you think about opening a restaurant? He looked at me, he said, are you serious? I said, yeah. He said, what kind of restaurant do you want to open? I said, well, you're a chef. I said, I always want to do fine dining. I said, let's go do a steakhouse somewhere. And, of course, we both live in Shreveport. We looked at Shreveport, wanted to open at Shreveport initially. 14 years ago, when we looked at doing this restaurant, there were like 10 white tablecloths over there, and Bossier really didn't have a white tablecloth restaurant. So I said, we need to be in Bossier, John. And so, we looked, found a location, and that's kind of how it came about, Patrick. We've been here 13 years now, going on our 14th year, and been very blessed. I knew we were going to be successful. I never thought we'd be as successful as we have. We've had 2 different expansions, and we're just very blessed. And I love working with my son, and it's been real good for us. So that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah, and you mentioned, there's part of the restaurant business is obviously you have to have good product. You have to have good food. People have to want to come back. The service needs to be good. But as you mentioned, there also has to be a need. And, I actually was commenting to Rogers. We were driving back from 2Johns at lunch today, and we were commenting on, there's another new Mexican restaurant, right? Well, we've got 6 quadrillion Mexican restaurants. But as you mentioned, the business side of things tells you, well, there's not a fine dining, as you mentioned, a white tablecloth type of restaurant in Bossier. Let's go fill that need. And that's where you're able to go and have success. Now, you obviously have to have the good product, but also have a need that's available.
Yeah, and I think our timing for Bossier was really, really good. We opened in August of 2009, and they needed this venue real bad. In fact, after I opened, within the first year, I had 2 or 3 other people come to me and say, hey, man, we were fixing to do the same thing. You just beat us to it. But I think our timing was really good in Bossier City, and Bossier's been very good to us. I just love the people in Bossier City, love the customers, and like I said, they've supported us 110%. I really appreciate that.
On the Bobby L. Green Plumbing text line, IT Man said, oh, my gosh, the original Leon's, I missed that barbecue sauce. IT Man, I keep telling you every single time I talk about Friday lunch, the burger is exceptional, but what do I always get, John? I get a pulled pork sandwich because I want the Leon's barbecue sauce.
That's right. So tell all those Leon's guys you can still get Leon's barbecue on Fridays.
Yep.
We still have it. It used to be, we've done lunch now for Fridays for 10 years. When we first started doing lunch, Patrick, it was the number 1 seller for a while. It's probably in the top 3 still.
Yeah.
But you can still get the Leon's barbecue on Fridays at 2Johns. So
get over there. Go make it happen. So tell me about trying to put together a menu, because obviously as a fine dining establishment, you're going to have to offer a high quality product. It's going to have to be a product that people are going to enjoy, that they can't necessarily get anywhere else. How are you able to go about putting together a menu, but also the proper recipes and the chefs and all of that to have the level of product that you're offering?
Well, we have an executive chef here at 2Johns. His name is Josh Wilkinson, and Josh has been here since day one, and he's done a fabulous job. And initially opening up, John and Josh, my son, they kind of got together. I had a little bit of input, not much. It was mostly John and Josh sat down and put this menu together. And, of course, Josh is a cordon bleu chef. He's worked. He's been the head chef at Southern Trace, the head chef at the Steakhouse. He's been, he's worked a lot of fine jobs. So Josh had a pretty good feel for what would work in the Shreveport-Bossier market, and that's kind of where we started. We hired Josh as it was me and John first, then I hired Josh, then I hired Stacy, my front of the house manager. So, Josh was on board right from go, and like I said, had a real good feel for this market, and so that's kind of how, he and John pretty much put the menu together, mostly Josh. And he's done a fabulous job here for 13 years. You mentioned
the expansion, and obviously Rogers and I, we go we go sit down and make basically the patio is ours. It's our kingdom. We go out there and greet all of the passersby and everything.
You got the same table every Friday.
Exactly. We go out there. That's our kingdom, and everyone comes by and kisses the ring as they go by, all of that stuff.
Right. Absolutely.
But I would imagine, was that to you because you told us, hey, that having more tables, the ability to get more people in, it raises your bottom line. It keeps things going and successful. But was that to you any kind of a risk, or was that, hey, we're turning people away on the weekends, we need more tables, and this is a great opportunity to do that?
Well, that's kind of what transpired here. The first expansion we had, we did in the dining room side. We did the front side there, and we created another banquet room, which gave us about 30 more seats. We did that after we were here 1 year. The first year, we turned away 40 parties. And we were turning away business on Fridays and Saturdays, even our first year here.
Yeah.
And I told my son, I said, John, we need to expand. So that was our first expansion. That was in year 2. And then what's happened, Patrick, is over the years, your clientele and your base grows every year if you do a good job. And we've been fortunate here to where we've got great staff here, 4 great managers, 45 great employees, and we've done a real good job all these years. And what happens is we just started turning away a lot of business on Fridays and Saturdays. I mean, a lot of business. And finally I said, we need to expand again, and that's where the patio and the courtyard came from. And then, of course, we have a fabulous wine list, and we needed a wine cellar really bad, and we were able to do our expansion was a wine cellar, a patio that is heated and cooled. Yet when the weather's nice like it was today, we open the windows, put the fans on, and we have an outside courtyard, which is strictly outside. You know, I'm from New Orleans originally, and I love the outside courtyard. We play live jazz out there. We've got 4 tables out there. We got a fountain. We got a sofa. It's really a neat spot. And but that's where the expansion came about, was that we just were turning away too much business, and we're catching a lot of that now. Believe it or not, we still turn away some business on Friday and Saturday nights, but not much.
Yeah.
I have 310 seats now, which I never thought I'd have 310 seats in Bossier City. That's just every table's popped up. I have that many seats. So we're very, very blessed. And like I said, Bossier City supports us 110%, and I really appreciate Bossier City.
Well, and you also got in kind of on the ground floor of where the expansion was, because everything started going from basically where you are north in Bossier. So your location, maybe when you opened, wasn't the greatest in terms of population base, but that area has exploded.
It sure has, and it keeps doing that.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It keeps doing that.
Talking to John Montelepre, the owner of 2Johns Steak and Seafood. Big Papa on the text line just asked, do you have a certain way that you age your steaks?
Actually, we buy a prime steak, Patrick, and they're already aged. I think they're aged about I want to say 40 days.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong there, give or take a few days, but we use prime here, and that's all my steaks are prime, and a prime steak's already aged.
So, you know, we talk to our barbecue guests a lot about the rising cost of not only their meat, their beef, their pork, their chicken, but also their goods. Plasticware and plates and things like that. What are you seeing on your end in terms of the rising costs of your supplies that you have to bring in?
Well, I mean, nothing's going down.
Yeah.
I mean, it always goes up. And, nobody hates to raise their prices on the menu more than I do, but you get to a point to where you just got to raise your price. And, in the 13 years we've been here, Patrick, we've probably raised our prices 4 times, and I don't like to do it. In fact, I remember one time in particular, the beef market fluctuates pretty good, and a few years back it was really fluctuating a lot, and it got so high, we finally had to raise our steaks a couple bucks, and then about 6 months later it went back down. Well, I went back down on my steak prices, and my son said, "What are you doing, Dad?" I said, "Well, look, I'm being fair to our customers."
Yeah,
I'm doing. I just felt like, if we're gonna save money on steaks, we're gonna save money for our customers as well. But yeah, it's everything's going up, and you just got to raise your price. I think one of the biggest mistakes restaurants make today is that when things get high, they cut quality and quantity. You cannot do that. You just got to raise your price. You got to keep your quality and your quantity the same and raise your price.
Yeah.
Nobody likes raising your price, but people are going to pay for it if they feel like they're getting their money's worth. But if you cut that quality and quantity, these people come in here and they say, "Man, what's happening here? He's not doing the same thing." You're going to lose them. So, I mean, it's not real hard. It's kind of simple. It's common sense simple, I think. But you just got to raise your price. And you're just going to have to keep doing that, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's look. Every pit master we talk to, on week in and week out, they say the same thing. Nobody wants to raise the prices of their food, but they have to, because the prices of the product itself, even getting it at cost, or getting it from the suppliers or whatever, the costs have gone up so much you just can't help but do it. And and people by and large understand. I think people, correct me if I'm wrong, John, but I think people by and large get the idea that, hey, we all know things have gone up during the pandemic and prices have gone up, and so people aren't afraid to pay a little bit of extra for that quality.
No, and you're right. As you know, I touch every table in my restaurant every night. I try and touch every table. And I get a lot of feedback. And some of the feedback I get is they say, "Man, you're really reasonable for what you get here." And I said, "I feel like we are." And that's like I say, you just got to give people their money's worth. And like I say, you just got to raise that price. And I think in the long run, if doing that, keeping your quality and quantity the same, you're going to be good. And so far, that's worked for us here.
Tell me about your sports fandom, John, because obviously you support our show, you support Ben and JJ that are on after us. You're giving away gift certificates every week for people picking the upsets, which we obviously appreciate, and that's been a big hit. What's your sports fandom like?
Well, I went to school on a full golf scholarship at Centenary, and so I've always been involved in sports and love sports, love watching all the sports, and I just feel like I need to support that. And, and that it's been good for us. Like I say, I'm on all the shows. I also support Moon Griffant and Robert J. Wright, and I think they do a great job as well. And I just feel like I need to give back to community and support these programs, and it's a win-win. It's a win for me too, because you keep your name out there, and if you hear something enough, you're eventually gonna come to 2Johns, and then if you come here and we do our job, guess what? We got another customer.
That's right. So, I say a lot of times that stuff's like you're like a drug dealer in a lot of ways. The first one might be free, like a $50 gift certificate that you went on my show, but if you do your job right, they're going to want to come back. They're going to get hooked.
That's exactly right. All we want to do is a chance to feed you. We just want one chance. And if we do our job, guess what? We got a new customer. And that's all I want is one shot at you.
X-Ray Ben asked real quick, can you ask John what is the one item each customer has to try? I've got a reservation for next Saturday night.
Well, obviously we're a steakhouse. You're going to come here the first time once you get a steak.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
You need to get a steak first time, but everything on the menu is phenomenal. In fact, I've got 6 or 7 fish dishes. I've had people come in here for 13 years. Patrick never had a steak, but that's how good our fish is. But I want you to come get a steak the first time you come. Yeah,
and my last thing for me, John, is it a big deal when people tell you, "Hey, we heard about you on Sports Talk or Patrick Netherton show or Robert J. Wright or whatever"? Is that meaningful for you if people tell you that?
Absolutely, and I get that a lot. Because you see you're spending money that really works. Yeah, I get that a lot, touching tables. In fact, on Fridays, you're here. If you're in town, you're here every Friday for lunch, and I'll be touching tables out there, and they'll say, well, I'm here because of Patrick Netherton. I said, well, he's on the patio. Go out there and say hello.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how much. And it tells me that I'm spending my money in the right spots. And radio's always been good for me. I've always done radio, even when I was at I had Leon's. I did a lot of radio, and it's always worked for me. So, So I've been a supporter of radio.
Yeah. DB said, wow, never made the connection with Leon's. I've enjoyed 2Johns. I ate many times at Leon's. A Shreveport firefighter, worked the Highland area for 20 years. Look, we all enjoyed Leon's growing up. My dad's office was 30 seconds from the one on Monkhouse. And I lived out by the one on East King, so we would get out there and get after it. John, look, seriously though, thank you for not only supporting the show, but also the gift certificates. Letting us have a fun thing that we do every week, the upset special, getting people involved, getting them an opportunity to win some stuff. That really is cool, and we really do appreciate you doing that with us.
Well, I appreciate you too, Patrick. Like I say, it's a win-win. It's a win for you and a win for me, buddy.
That's what we're all about. So 2Johns Steak and Seafood, 2151 Airline Drive. Big John's going to be there. He's going to come touch the table. You say hi from us, as always, because that does mean something. John, what we got special tonight? What do we got special?
Okay, let's see. That's a good question.
Oh, I hit you. I caught you off guard. Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I believe it's. Let's see. We did a.
I got him, Rogers. I got him.
You did. The thing is, I'm having one of those brain issues.
Yeah,
when you get a little older. It's a steak with the bread on it. I can't think of what it's called. I'm almost embarrassed.
Hey, that's Rogers. My gotcha questions are about food.
If my son's listening to this, my son is dying right
now.
Oh
yeah, well, I hope he is.
I can't think of the name of it, but we do have a feature. We have different features every night and different drink features too. So y'all come see us.
Hey, John, thank you so much, man. We do appreciate the support, and like we tell everyone, go check out 2Johns Steak and Seafood. Fridays for lunch every night, but Mondays for dinner. It is the best in the business. John, thanks, brother.
You're welcome. Thank you, Patrick.
All right, John Montelepre, the owner of 2Johns Steak and Seafood.